Well, I'm excited to be here, CES 2025. It's been a number of years since we've announced a new specification, so it's always a big event for us and for the industry. And Chan Lee will follow up and actually get into the details of what the HDMI Forum has done. So I'd like to talk about a little bit of the market update. You're probably very familiar with the HDMI specification, but in terms of us, we're the entity that markets, promotes the specification, licenses the spec, ensures the products are out there are certified and tested. So as you know, we're the leading digital audio video interface in the industry. It's across all sorts of areas. You know, it's well known in the consumer electronics, but it transcends the PC, the mobile, and even into things such as automotive, industrial, mil-aero, and healthcare. So over 900 million products, almost 1 billion shipped last year. And since the inception of HDMI, we've reached over 14 billion devices. So very few connectivity standards ever reach this kind of plateau in the billions there. And also there's over 2,000 companies around the world that build licensed HDMI products with over 100,000 brands, retailers, distributors that actually sell these to end users and consumers. And it's be easier when you download this to see the details, but this shows sort of the industry sales trends. As we all know, COVID had a big spike in sales for both consumer electronics and PC-related products. There was a valley, there was a big decline a couple of years after. We've now are climbed out of that. 2024 was a good year, especially in the PC industry. There was a good rebound there. And we like to show the categories of products with HDMI, so you can see sort of the relation between the TVs and the PC and set-top box, soundbars, and others there. And we are in a mature marketplace, so we really follow the trends of the general product categories of how many HDMI devices are shipped in any given year. And there's continuing advancements in HDMI products. What's really great about HDMI is the chip companies have embedded it in their products. These chips then go into various different sort of products and categories. This past year, 4K at 144 has become ubiquitous, especially in the TV space and monitors. We're seeing the first 4K at 240 refresh rate TVs as well. These are all geared at the gaming segment. Gaming is really driving the performance these days. You see that on the GPU side, you see that on the display side. Also, big news this past year was the fast growth and percentage growth in the extra large screens. So especially in the North America market, these grew tremendously, and you know, you can go into Costco or other retailers and find really reasonably priced 98-inch screens, and consumers are snapping those up. We're also seeing the trend of TV manufacturers making smaller displays to compete with monitors. And so they're adding all of the high performance, the higher resolutions, the higher frame rates, the game features that are present in HDMI, such as ALLM and variable refresh rate, to compete directly with monitors. And the benefits the TV manufacturers say is we're also a TV. You can stream your Netflix or your other things because we support all those apps. And we, as the HDMI licensing agent, one of our missions is to ensure we have products that meet the specification, follow the spec, and are tested for that. And that's to ensure that the brand, HDMI as a brand, is well recognized as you just plug it in and it works. Whether it's a TV to a game platform, it's a new ultra high speed or soon to be on the market ultra 96 cable, the expectation of the consumer is plug it in and it works. And so we spend a lot of time and resources working with the supply chain, from the semiconductors through the middle manufacturers all the way up to the and brands to ensure products are licensed, tested, and reach the marketplace accordingly. And so you can see some of the different areas where we will go pursue. We take down listings of unlicensed counterfeit products. We go do factory raids where we do investigations and find out companies that are producing unlicensed, untested products. Our cable certification programs have been fantastic in raising the quality level of cables. First, they have to pass the test to be able to get the anti-counterfeit labels on their packaging, but we also do continuous in-field audits to ensure the manufacturing lines continue to be compliant. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chan Lee, the president of the HDMI Forum.
All right, well, how do I use this thing?
Very
easy. All right, thanks, Rob. Good morning. And it's great to see you all, that you could join us today because it's an exciting day. I'm Chandley Harrell, president of the HDMI Forum. And on behalf of the HDMI Forum, I would like to announce and introduce the HDMI version 2.2 specification. And this is about to release, will release in the first half of this year. So the version 2.2, it's at the center of this new specification is a next generation fixed rate link, next gen FRL technology. And this really provides a whopping 96 gigabits per second of bandwidth. So the pipe, the transmission capabilities of HDMI have really grown to an amazing 96 gigabits per second. And we are also introducing the new Ultra 96 HDMI cable. And this, of course, underpins the delivery of this kind of bandwidth. It supports, of course, all the 2.2 features and, of course, all legacy features as well. In addition, we're introduced with the 2.2. It supports a new lip sync indication protocol, LIP. And this is, some of you may have experienced in your own homes, particularly if you have more complicated configurations, AV configurations, that sometimes for certain content you might get some disparity between the synchronization of the audio and video. And so this optimizes, is a technology to optimize that kind of synchronization. So why move to a new next generation FRL link? The content producers are innovating constantly, and they're in their production, in their content, in their distribution, and they're pushing us. They're pushing for more bandwidth in order to really innovate, support these kinds of innovations. So 96 gigabits per second, it is really living up to these demanding applications. Things like video production, both online and offline, video conferencing. There's a lot going on in video conferencing, AR, VR. Of course, digital signage is getting bigger and bigger, and medical imaging. There's a lot going on in command centers, both in surveillance and there's revolutionizing Factory 4.0 with lots of sensors and really moving the factories to fully automated with lots of AI-backed, corrections and adjustments. So a lot going on in that space. And then, of course, as Rob mentioned, gaming is really driving performance. The graphics engines are doubling every 2 to 3 years. This is really pushing frame rate as well as screen size and screen density, and so that's really pushing the limits. Okay, so more options, more formats. So this is a pretty detailed chart. This is available in your press kit. This shows that there are lots of different formats: chroma formats, compressed formats, DSE compressed, full chroma formats, of course, as well. And this is really goes from 4K to 40, 10K 120, 12K 120, even 4K 480 hertz and beyond. It's really driving lots of different vectors of display. And this is maybe a more simplified representation. So you're all very familiar with 4K, and in the gaming world, if you're the high-end gamers, the pillar of today's excellence is really 4K 240 gaming. And the high-end gamers really strive for this, and of course this platform will provide it. As you'll hear today that there are NVIDIA's, we understand from the press, what you see on the web, that they'll be announcing the new RTX 5090, and of course 2 years, 3 years, AMD and NVIDIA and others will be announcing more performance. But in other spaces like Pro AV and esports and video conferencing and so on, now 5K and 6K and 8K and even 10K, 12K are starting to really emerge as new arenas for very large format displays. So that's another vector that will take advantage of this new performance. You can see here that HDMI 2.2 will support 8K full chroma uncompressed, so 444, 10-bit and 12-bit, as well as gaming at 4K 240, full 444 uncompressed, 10-bit and 12-bit. And then with compression or chroma subsampling, you can really get up to the 4K 480, 10K 120, 12K 120 kinds of video formats, and 16K as well at lower frame rates. So we are introducing the new Ultra 96 HDMI cable, and this, of course, is the pipe for the 96 gigabits of bandwidth. And it supports all the features, 2.2 and prior specifications. And it's expected to be in the market later this year, Q3, Q4 of 2025. So it's important to understand the forum is put in place. It requires a very stringent compliance and certification program for cables. So the Ultra 96, both the Ultra 96, the new cable, and the current ultra high-speed HDMI cable are required every length to go through authorized test center certification. So they have to be tested well. And then the cables themselves have on-cable marking, and there's labeling on the packaging that must be put on. It's anti-counterfeit packaging so that the consumer can actually go and find these cables. And then there is in-market auditing. So over the lifetime of a cable, the sample is taken off the shelf and then run through testing to make sure it's still compliant. Okay, and lastly, I'll talk a bit on the new LIP protocol. And this, I'll show on this slide, the next slide, a couple of different audio-video system configurations. Here are a couple of simpler ones, the traditional inputs to the TV, and then the second one is with an output to a soundbar. And this is really for, and then the configurations we show on the next slide, for aligning, providing technology to help align the audio and video sync. And what's introduced in HDMI 2.2 is a new communication protocol between the various devices in your home theater stack. So each device can understand delays, for instance, video codec delays or audio codec delays, and communicate and then decide to help coordinate to a very optimized audio and video lip sync. Here you see a couple more configurations with AVRs, audio video receivers, in the home theater stack, and of course, there are even more complicated versions with 2 or even more audio video receivers or switches in the environment. So this is these kinds of audio video sync issues can be a big distraction if you're a cinema home theater watcher on your couch or in your home cinema. And for gamers, it's audio is as important as video. The cues are very important for gaming. So this will also be a very interesting new technology that will come to market at the release of the HDMI 2.2 specification. So with that, we thank you very much for coming, and we'll break for Q&A.
Nico Durham, CT Magazine. One question, what's the longest cable so far you have certified for Ultra 96?
So Ultra 96 is a new cable. So the specification is not released, so that information is not available at this point in time. We do have information on Ultra UHS cables, ultra high-speed cables, but not the Ultra 96 cables. We can't share that kind of data.
Is there any number you expect?
So the actual specification does not provide, does not give numbers. As the speed goes up, the length of the traditional wire cable goes down, and other kinds of cables, such as active optical cables, take up the slack for the longer lengths. I think Brad was showing a prototype there of 12 feet that you took pictures of. That would be probably at the moving up towards the higher end at these kinds of rates for wire cables, and then active cables would take over from there.
Hi, Alexander Roniak, Mavrana Group. So while obviously your bandwidth of HDMI is fantastic for many pro video environments, one of the things that makes other standards kind of very popular there is locking mechanisms. So has HDMI ever considered doing a kind of standardized locking mechanisms for HDMI, or do you think that would segment compatibility a bit too much? Thank you.
Yeah, the HDMI forum has not dived into that directly. There are companies that do provide certain kinds of locking features on top of the HDMI connector, but we have not directly addressed that locking mechanism. I don't know if you want to say anything about the market on that.
Yeah, so one of the original premises behind the connector was safety. So if you hang a TV on the wall, you have a cable come out, and somebody trips or accidentally pulls it out, you're not pulling the whole TV down, you're not injuring yourself, you're not hurting the equipment. Now there are uses these days where you want to put something in, lock it down, never touch it, and it's secure. And some of the industry, as Chandler mentioned, has come up with some independent solutions for that.
Car audio cable.
Yeah, like the car audio cable.
One question for each of you. For Rob, there's a whole new category of products, mostly in the streaming area, that have ARC or ER connections, but none of them seem to have the HDI logo or any copyright information. And I'm just wondering, with the enforcement that you're doing in LA, have you looked at that, or are those devices just, we forgot to put it on? And for Chad, will there be an alt mode? Because a lot of people are using laptops and devices that don't have a discrete HDMI connector, but they're using USB-C or a Thunderpants connector or something like that, but they really want HDMI. Will there be an alt mode embedded for 2.2? Thanks.
All right, we'll start out with the logoing. So the logo is optional to use. There is a set incentive for them to use the logo on products, but it's not required. So what we do is we investigate products. Is the company selling it, or is their upstream manufacturer, are they adopters, are they licensed? And if they are, it's perfectly legitimate. If they're not, then we go pursue them and try to convince them to now become a licensed adopter and follow all the rules and regulations, and especially the testing and compliance.
Or if not, we'll see you in court.
Or we'll send the police after you to raid your factory.
And so the question on I think you were saying Type C alt mode, basically. The answer is there's nothing for us to announce today. There certainly the forum has been looking at that. What HDMI alt modes, and many of the leading, or probably most of the leading manufacturers are part of the HDMI forum. So those are the guys that actually drive what we do, and as they. It's really their interest that will drive this and decide when that kind of technology gets announced.
And let me and just to follow up that. So really, what the ecosystem and industry has kind of coalesced around is adapters, docks, things like that. So there's a million different options to plug your phone or laptop into something that converts it to HDMI, and that's sort of how the industry has decided to take this at this point.
Hi, right over here. Doug with Takes on Tech. My colleague to your left, I would like to reiterate, if you do look at locking cable guidance, think of the products which are also like on-camera monitors, which are going on and off. It's not always a one and never see it again situation people are complaining about. But when it comes to the spec, which we're seeing here, are the manufacturers and some things for consumer prepping as a press person, is it pick and choose what they want, or is it, to say 2.2, you must support all these things because in the past you were a spec for a long time, which was all, and then it started to be you could pick and choose a little bit as a manufacturer and things, and that has caused some consumer confusion.
Yeah, so again, this does come, we are driven by manufacturers, and actually since the inception of HDMI, it's really been you do choose which features you want to use. That's been true since 1.0 and through 2.0 and now 2.2. So this will be, in other words, if you do want to use a certain feature or higher performance, it's up to the manufacturer. Now there are certain base requirements, so you do get base interoperability, but the advanced features, the manufacturers are the ones that decide.
Yes, are there any plans on improving HDMI CEC, some of the communication between some of the devices that we're seeing to address some of the...
How many times have you asked that question?
How many times have we heard it?
Yeah, so CEC is a really, it's a great fundamental technology. It's been around since something called P50, even before HDMI. And its real benefit is very low power and power on. It's a very low bandwidth bus, so it's not a lot of data can go across it, but it's very useful because it's so low power. Now there are, I think, a lot of questions around how good is the interoperability for CEC, and many of the manufacturers have worked through a lot of those individual issues, but they're also, again, we're driven by manufacturers, so it's really what they want to come out of it and how they want to support the consumer that drives that.
About the material, copper or fiber optics, both are okay?
Yeah, so copper, of course, is okay, and fiber optics is okay. Of course, you can do active copper as well, and there are some companies develop even longer transmission environments that go across other transmission media in between. So yeah, those are all okay.
Okay, that's it. Okay, if there's no more questions, I think we're going to call it a close. So thank you very much. Again, before you go, if you want to give us your email addresses or if you want another photo of the prototype cable, or come over to the booth, that would be the follow-up. Okay, thanks you all for coming.